You made it weird.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I did. What's up, weirdos? How does he talk? I just did
Let
crusty.
me tell you guys a little something about Alpha Brain. Okay.
Is that what he's on now? Is he on Nootropics now?
He like eats hemp or something.
I kind of fell off that podcast.
I left my wife and now I'm crashing. You made it weird.
Oh.
Have I mentioned my wife?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Damn America. I'm Jake Flores. I have with me, let's do a roll call. Let's go around the table.
Raghav. I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say my name. I haven't done the podcast in like 4 weeks. I'm Raghav Mehta.
What you have to know is when he said that, he put his arms all the way out as if to go, what the fuck?
I was waiting for Jake to say my name. I thought that's how he was going to introduce me.
That's not how
Hi,
a roll call
what's
works.
Roll call.
Well, I guess it is actually.
Yeah, it
The
is. You say
teacher
my name, I
goes,
say it here.
All right.
You're supposed to rap.
All right. Roll call. Alex Patak.
My name is Dirty Dan and I'm on the floor. You always find me when you're out on the floor. Ha ha. I'm dirty.
He's so funny if the mic didn't pick that up.
No,
I
it's
hope
faintly
I
did.
hope so.
it came in, but it's coming in like this weird back. You know how things are funnier when they're 10 feet away from a mic sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
It sounded like a guy was rapping out in the room next to us.
You got to get closer.
If
Old
you
school
think that's
style.
funny, you will love the episode of this podcast.
And we have special guest Jeremy Hammond.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
We should explain
Back.
that Jeremy and I are sharing one mic and leaning in doo-wop style to add our contribution.
Yeah,
But then sometimes we forget and we just go bop bop boo bop, and then that's on the show.
we're podcasting like we're recording a sick track in like a recording booth, and both of you guys are on that mic, and one of us is across the room, Rick James style, going, "Yes, you got it, you nailed that riff."
We're the girls who sing the juicy hook.
Uh huh. Yeah, you're the background singers. Like Ray Charles' background singers. You know, he used to get so mad at his background singers, he would like fire them and then just sing the part himself and then raise the pitch up to where he sounded like a woman and then layer it like 7 times. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Well, his brother died in a bucket, so that's what you do.
Didn't Billy Corgan did a similar thing with like all the instruments for Smashing Pumpkins?
I'm a rat in a cage. Do-wop, shoo-wop.
He sang it like that and then he turned the pitch way down. he actually just talks like this.
To add to that, also I heard Jon Stewart was so mad his writers went on strike or tried to unionize that for like a year, him and his producer scrapped all their material and just wrote their own stuff. Like
Really?
they would keep submitting stuff and be like, "Fuck you, writer guy," and then they just write other stuff.
I guess I didn't
Hashtag
notice
resist.
that episode where he was just dressed up in blackface and saying he's Wyatt Cenac.
Yeah, I think that's when it went downhill. But that's just me.
And that was like a big story during the WGA strike, was like people were like, wow, it's like so cool of Jon Stewart that he like really cares so much about his show that he'll like still work during the strike.
Yeah, like a fucking scab.
He's like some part of a wound that won't close. He won't close.
It never
This is
closes.
some unhealthy habit.
If only there was some sort of an ill rodent that we could use to like portray what he's doing.
Oh, it's sucio.
This has never happened before.
Speaking of Billy Corgan, he's like an out and open like libertarian now.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch the video for tonight, it all made so much sense. He had
Got
the,
that stupid hat.
yeah, and the pocket watch and shit.
Which is funny. But in like '98, he was on like some free Tibet shit, and then 2012 happened. He's like, climate change isn't real, and then he went full alt-right. It's insane. But it's not that he's just like libertarian. Is that he goes on Infowars and he co-signs like every conspiracy theory Alex Jones has.
Yeah.
He'll just be like, salamanders are Chinese, and he'd be like, "Yep, that's right."
He's just in the corner nodding on the world is a vampire, man.
Yeah, I have a theory that you can't trust the political leanings of anyone who's actively trying to get famous. Because, like, all those guys, they're just all over the fucking place. They switch every couple years, you know? And it's like, because they need
Yeah,
people
looking
to
at
hear
you,
it.
Parkland kids.
Yeah.
Just take a shot at the Parkland kids as soon as possible. That's
Take
3
a
minutes
shot
of
at
the
them.
podcast.
Shots fired, Parkland kids.
Oh,
Raghav's coming for you.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I just felt so much release.
Anyway, speaking of the Parkland kids and other things that aren't real, now according to Roseanne, you know, they're like crisis actors or something. We are here. We are gathered this evening in holy something to discuss.
Covenant.
Hell yeah, dude. We're on top of Pentagram. We're here to discuss fucking Roseanne, the reboot. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I guess we decided it warranted a full-on viewing episode.
Yeah.
Go nuts, please.
Yeah, I had seen your tweet about no platforming Roseanne, and I was like, and then I saw a couple other people like vaguely mention Roseanne, and I texted Alex, because Alex is generally my like go-to.
You're Roseanne go-to guy.
Oh, he's like my person in the know, who if like something's happening on Twitter, I feel like he kind of understands it.
I'm like Jeremy's political commissar.
I like
Does
it.
that make sense?
Yeah.
That
You're
makes
like
sense.
That's very scary.
Yes.
you're like Varys the spider, but with television
I
shows.
hear little birds think the Parkland kids are actors.
You see,
Good.
school shootings are a ladder.
Come get in my boat, we'll whisk you away.
Nice.
But the point is that I was gonna watch the new Roseanne, just because whatever, you know, you got to fill the days somehow.
Slowly towards death, I understand.
And I texted Alex and I said, "Did Roseanne do something bad?" I didn't know anything about what she's been up to the past 20 years.
Yeah, she's been like this for a minute.
Yeah, no, that's what I found out. And then I watched it, and I texted him updates throughout the night, just about, because it's.
Now I am laughing.
I mean, taking the.
That was not one of the updates.
No, it was not one of the updates. Taking the politics out of it, it's just an outright bad show.
Yeah.
The format is showing its age. That was the real takeaway I had.
Well,
Wait, you mean that young Sheldon isn't high art?
yeah, dude, there's so much going on here. Because I honestly, I didn't think it was that, I didn't think it was as terrible as I would like to say it was. I really don't want to be one of these people that's like, I don't like someone's politics.
And it's not
therefore
funny.
they're not. Yeah, I don't think politics and humor are necessarily that correlated with each other. Like, people like to do this thing where someone turns out to be a rapist, and then they go, you know what? And by the way, I never thought Louis C.K. was funny. He made some
yeah.
people laugh at some point. You know, that happened.
Kind of a lot of people.
So this show kind of I don't know really where to place it, because I'm a big fan of old sitcoms. I never watched Roseanne growing up, so I kind of didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Oh, see, I loved Roseanne growing up.
Oh.
That tracks.
And that's why I wanted to watch it. That's part of why I wanted to watch it to begin with.
Yeah.
And I don't love Roseanne the person necessarily,
right.
so I didn't know what she was up to.
She's your mom. You don't have to like her. You just have to love her.
Yeah, I grew up on Nick at Night. I loved Taxi and all these old
Yeah.
classic TV shows, right?
I
So
Love Lucy.
there's some extent to which I think Roseanne kind of almost hits that mark of being a cool all in the family, it's this meditation on the working class sort of thing, which is what they're trying to sell it as real hard. But I think with her politics, it kind of doesn't really check out. I'll say this: when the intro fucking rolled in, I got this eerie feeling we were 3 hours into the Too Many Cooks sketch. And we were just exploring some weird avenue of American television media that shouldn't exist.
Let's break down the intro because it's weird. It's all of the family and the camera's spinning and they're in the kitchen and jazz music is playing and they're handing each other bowls and stuff, and it's bow, 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 bow. And then it's really weird at the end because they all put on Klan hoods and they light stuff on fire. And then you just watch the show.
Yeah, and there's just harmonica blasting.
That was my favorite part.
John Goodman's a big fat Klan guy. You
Yeah,
can
you're
tell
like,
which
I
one's
know
him.
which one you are. I know. You're the fat one.
Yeah. It's weird, it just on top of her being a MAGA chud Nazi person, there's also this reboot aspect of it, which is this wasn't okay the first time he started doing this with TV shows. Like, it's shitty. It's a cheap ploy. We shouldn't be like supporting this. You know, you can't really stop anyone from watching a TV show or whatever. But like, these are bad. We could be making good shit. Like the 3-camera, sitcom live fucking laugh track thing is not good anymore. We're just being like ironic hipsters by kind of, hearkening back. Like, it's weird. It just seems like it's made for postmodern millennials, you know?
Nazism aside, the reboot
That's how I start a lot of sentences.
If John Mulaney couldn't make it good, no one's gonna make it good.
I was thinking John Mulaney's show the entire time I watched this.
Yeah. Why?
Why? Because it's not
Is it
that
the only other
content is
sitcom you
similar.
watched?
It's like he was trying really hard to do a 90s style sitcom.
Yeah.
And just fucking failed. And she's rebooted with the exact same elements this 90s style sitcom and put like Trump train in it every 5 minutes. People are like, this is fresh.
Yeah.
America loves this.
Yeah, somewhere he's out there watching this going, what the fuck? Probably not, but it's also just packed with like cliches. Which is like, her sister's the nasty woman. And then
they
never
didn't-
explain.
We have so much to discuss.
Yeah,
about
right,
that, by the way.
Well,
I think it's still like talking high level, just like sitcom conceptual things. Like one of the things that's really disappointing about it to me is that it's on ABC, right? And ABC has, like, for better or worse, like been kind of known in the past like 5 or 6 years for having kind of like you talk about like the cliches of like the sitcom, right? They've kind of done well to push against that, right? They have very wholesome family sitcoms. They have Modern Family is, for better or worse, like a wholesome family sitcom that does quite well.
Interesting.
You know, and it's not a laugh track 3-camera show.
Yeah.
And they have Fresh Off the Boat, and they have Blackish, and they have this sort of like very diverse lineup of like family wholesome sitcoms.
Yeah. They had Lost, which was a Jesus show, it turned out. It's very wholesome.
Which famously did have a laugh track. Yeah.
Oh, if you watch it with a laugh track, it's way better.
Look out, the polar bear.
Woo! Yeah, it's like Married with Children. A toilet flushes when the polar bear comes on screen. Everyone hoots and howls.
It is like the logical conclusion. Like my friend and I were talking about it today, and he's like, it's like if this was us combined with Modern Family on the set of All in the Family. Like, but the worst parts of all of those shows.
Okay, like before we even get into the show, I just want to touch back on All in the Family because I got into a big Twitter fight with Ron Funches over this.
It's too bad you couldn't get him for the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
I really want to meet him.
Hey, Jake.
For a minute, I could have DM'd him because what happened was I followed him. He didn't follow me back. And then he went, hey.
This is the root of the thing.
Well, I trying to paint a picture here because something happened. He goes like, are you guys telling me you can handle Archie Bunker, but you can't handle Roseanne? Like, what's going on with that? And I was like, well, you know, Archie Bunker was played by a guy who wasn't actually in real life Archie Bunker. Like, that's kind of the difference here.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes like, how do you know that's true? And he deleted this tweet, but he goes, how do you know that's true? And I go, well, I Googled it. B, I like that show, and C, like, he wasn't on TV, like, caping for fucking, you know, right-wing fascists or whatever. He
Yeah.
wasn't like a George Wallace guy or whatever.
And additionally, All in the Family was sometimes a funny show.
Yeah. But that's kind of like why it was, because like satire is this thing where you are playing a character who is a thing that is bad. Like, you don't believe the actual words. You're saying things kind of in jest, right, to show how bad it is. But
Like
this is not the case with this fucking show. It's not even portrayed that way. I mean, it's really like portrayed in a way that's very sympathetic to this family being like, you know, quote unquote, the white working class that voted for Trump, which in itself is already like a bad kind of myth, I think. Not that that didn't exist, but the idea that that's like who to blame all this stuff on is kind of like, it's way more complicated than
There's
that.
nobody with McMansions in the suburbs to point your fingers at for the Trump presidency.
Right.
For
Trump
sure.
was fucking
That's
elected
a
by
huge voting block with all of the money behind it.
Yeah, and it's just like it reminds me of like J.D. Vance and like hillbilly elegy shit. This really popular idea of like you know, the real people that caused this, that spoke their minds, were like these salt of the earth, fucking poor working class people. And working class people, they're all over the place politically, Like, most of them don't vote. Some of them are Trump. Some of them are fucking Hillary. Some of them are Sanders. Like,
Some of them just drink in the garage. Dan.
so, like, the reason I think that's kind of a shitty way to sell this show is it just perpetuates that myth. And it's, it's like headed up by Roseanne, who's like, I got a platform to say all this Trump shit I want to say. But that's also like the writing staff's all like liberal comedians,
Yeah.
It's like funny people, like Morgan Murphy's writing on it and shit.
Yeah, Morgan Murphy was a surprise on the writing staff for me.
Yeah, Whitney Cummings is like executive producing it or something, which
Wanda Sykes is a consulting producer.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Didn't Morgan Murphy like get in on this Twitter fight with you?
Yeah. Like I was at work in a fucking pizza restaurant, and like Chris D'Elia and Morgan, all these fucking famous people are like chiming in, like, "You get him, Ron." And like somebody at one point was like, "Yeah, this is when Jake is gonna ask to talk to your manager." And the thing is, I was literally working at a pizza restaurant that receives daily death threats because of the shit Roseanne is peddling on Twitter. She's a Pizzagator. And
you guys receive threats from Pizzagate?
multiple
That's kinda cool.
multiple death threats. No, okay, so Ping Pong Comet Pizza or whatever in DC is where like the conspiracy theory of Pizzagate started.
I ate there,
but it's the conspiracy theory has gotten so out of
Something to
that's
brag
awesome.
about, Jeremy.
it was pretty good, man.
Did you get the cheese
gross.
pizza? Wink,
well,
wink.
listen, so
How was the cheese pizza?
Damn it, I was going for that. I was
But-
going to say the meatball was good, but the young boy penis was A+.
You just did the okay hands like the guy in the pizza box. A young boy, a penis.
Little okay sign. You put a boy's penis through.
So I work at a different pizza restaurant, and I talked to one of the guys that answers the phones, and apparently we just get multiple death threats a day, and most of them are joking, and then every once in a while one of them's like 1 in 5 is like a deranged 50-year-old man or whatever, and so it's.
Do they just think that all pizza places are in on this?
Yes. Okay. So now it's
Every
just
pizza
the
place.
the Pizzagate people are just the concept of pizza means child pornography,
wow.
right? But
So like then the Sal's famous from Do the Right Thing.
yeah,
Is that why
that
the
old
Papa?
racist man was also fucking
Is
young
that why the
boys.
Papa John's guy quit? It's like I can't take these threats anymore.
yeah.
If you make pizza at home,
I'm
you're
a
crossing
pedophile, and
off-
I'm proud of it.
It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno. I'm taking my own child home to. I don't know. I bought them at the supermarket. My guests have no idea. I don't know. So it got stoked a little bit, admittedly, because there's a bar at this place, and one of the guys who works there is like, it's one of those fucking hip restaurants. They look like us, have tattoos and shit, of like upside down crosses and stuff. And there's like a guy, there's this bartender or this bar manager that named like one of the craft beers, like the custom ones. You get to name them, He named it the Pizzagate, and so like the fucking Reddit kind of inflamed and blew up after that. There's all these pictures of him and shit, and just these conspiracy theorists and stuff. This is a mess, but there's a legitimate chance that someone could blow up my pizza delivery job because of fucking Roseanne's TV show, So like there is
kind of a funny way to die.
it would be hilarious. I think about it all day.
And then,
Like,
harmonica would play.
yeah.
Camera pans circular across the rubble.
Yeah. Yeah, John Goodman's there.
Clearly phoning it in.
He really does seem like he's phoning it in for this, by the way.
It's incredible.
If you see Cloverfield Lane or whatever, he's a different person.
Yeah.
Different character.
I mean, I can't tell. Like, a lot of them seem like they're kind of... It's just so obviously a paycheck,
But what's her name?
Roseanne.
No, not Roseanne. The daughter, Darlene, right? Sarah Gilbert. She's the one who I noticed, like, through both episodes, and then in the third episode, too, which I watched, which you guys didn't punish yourselves with.
Why?
She is the only one who looks like she wants to be there. Right? She's the only one, the daughter who has, like, the two kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Weird, because I think she's the worst actress on the show.
Really?
Yeah,
I think
don't
Roseanne
she's-
is 100% the worst.
Yeah, but it's like you can't remove Roseanne's personality from the show because it's just like she's such a presence. So like definitely she's phoning it in, and so is John Goodman.
She does
but-
all the funny lines.
But the funny lines aside, there's like the moments where she's supposed to be like having these touching moments with like her, her like whatever gender fluid grandkid.
Uh-huh.
And
special scene, by the way.
I know, right? You could really feel it in her face how much she cared about that child's safety. When she held him and said, "You're a tough kid," and stared blankly into the middle distance.
Yeah. You know what's been bothering me about this show is because I can suspend my disbelief. I watched old TV, so I kind of get it. Like, it's just going to be a little hokey or whatever. But there's something very clear that's going on, which is that so it's set 20 years in the future or whatever, and there's this big missing space in time we're all supposed to understand. They keep alluding back to, and they keep
like the Bible.
Exactly. Yes, like the story of Christ. Yes.
They keep referencing like the fact that Roseanne and John Goodman used to be fat. Mm-hmm. And they're still fat. It doesn't make any sense, but they
clearly, were much fatter.
But still, though,
they were
like
noticeably fatter.
So fat, though.
Yes, but they were. He was so fat in the 90s. He was insane.
I mean, he was real fat. He was King whatever. That movie, he was King Henry.
Fat fuck.
Yeah, he was big fat
King
fuck.
Fat fuck.
My point, though, is like Roseanne is like, it seems like she had that written in. Like, oh, you guys are going to keep referencing all this weight I've lost. And I guess I didn't watch the original show that much. So I'm just like, but you're like fat. What the fuck are you doing? Like, these jokes don't make sense.
You're going to come in with the pussy hat and talk about my tight body.
Yeah.
Another thing that makes this all the more... we could zoom out for a second. Another thing that makes this all the more fucked up... I'm going to give this a second.
I'm sorry, I'm just picturing Roseanne, like her face, but on like a tight body.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I mean, we are ignoring the fact the only reason she's getting away with all this is because people think she's hot.
Oh,
yeah, dude, she's a snack.
But anyway, like the thing that makes this all the more fucked up is that Blackish creator, Kenya Barris.
Yeah.
So they were supposed to air an episode that kind of focused on the NFL kneeling controversy, which is a weird way to put that. And ABC was like, yeah, we amicably agreed not to air this episode. And then, like, the Hollywood Reporter was like, yeah, this is not true. Kenya Barris was fucking pissed about this. And now he's, like, threatening to leave the network and signing a deal with Netflix, breaking his contract. Yeah. So he'll probably get sued, but whatever he gets paid at Netflix will just pay off all that stuff.
Boss move.
So, yeah, it is, like, it's for ABC to, like, spit in his face and then go back and sign this fucking deal with Roseanne and pretend they're, delivering some nuanced political shit is absurd.
That's my main thing with it because, okay, so, like, the thing I couldn't stop thinking about when I was watching this is the thing that makes me so angry about it is that it's trying to be sold in a way that's very clever. I've been a bartender for years. I know how to sell somebody something. What you do is you make them feel smart. Right?
What you
Alcohol
do
will
is you
get
sell
you
them
drunk.
2 drinks, and then they'll drink more.
I'm just imagining Jake trading and you young bartender. Pour it into the glass.
I mean, you're a con man, though.
You gotta sell them the bubbles, not the beer.
There's a subtle fucking thing to getting people hooked on shit and making them feel like they're having
an
an
empty mug with the rag the whole time. That way it looks like you're working.
Yeah.
And then you go up to them and you say, "You look like you got a lot on your mind, kid."
I mean, you're joking, but you fucking do that shit all day. You sit there, you work happy hour, you talk to people, and you make them feel like they're having this weird, cool, unique experience, right? Mm-hmm. You make people think they're smart, right? Yeah. All alcohol is the same drug. Gets you drunk, that's it. But you sell somebody this concept of like, oh, are you Irish? Have you like Tullamore Dew? It's smarter than just all this dumb shit, right? This fucking Roseanne thing really bothers me because a dumb person is going to watch the show, and the show is like beating you over the head with these very obvious concepts like this is about this, perceived like wound in American culture, and we're going to have all these heartwarming, like insightful, ways of like seeing that we're all human at the end of the day or whatever. This is like ABC's basic storytelling. It's fucking dumb, but it's so many people I talk to are like, no, let me explain it to you. It's actually about Democrats and Republicans. It's so fucking dumb. Like, they're selling it like that's this genius meditation on society. When like, don't fuck with me. I know that it's for profit. It's because you know you could make a lot of money off of it, but then you go turn around and try to sell it as the smart thing.
Yeah. What's just kind of frustrating about fighting about the show is people are like, I told some friends before I came here that I was going to do the podcast on Roseanne. They're like, "What do you think? Should it have been made?" And I was like, "What do you think it should have been made has to do with anything?" People knew they could make $1 billion off a Trump cutesy show and then did it. No questions asked. It doesn't matter if it was a good idea.
Well, like major fucking networks that, you know, make all their money off of advertisements and, you know, sell this lowbrow, watered down, lowest common denominator shit, don't like come out and fucking make shows that are really ahead of the curb and edgy and like are gonna spark all these new ideas. You know, the thing that everyone's arguing about, I think, in essence, is this concept of whether or not politics is downstream from culture, right? And I would be one to argue that it's not. So what that means is that like manipulating culture doesn't affect politics, and I think that's true here, which is why I think that also it kind of doesn't matter. Like, it's not going to like really make more Trumpers or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, that means that when you buy a ticket to go see Black Panther or something, you're not really doing activism. Like, these are the end products of
it just
politics.
means you're Black Panther's friend, which is a different honorific title.
These shows are just the end product of a bunch of people focus grouping and going, oh, we can sell this because enough people already like it.
Yes.
You know, they're an end product of that line. They're not like, oh, we can change Americans' minds by making something that makes people think. You know, it's like the other way around.
What I was thinking was that it was a network who had seen that they'd bought a lot of public goodwill by having a highly multicultural lineup of sitcoms, right? By having been known for so long as the network that has gay people in a family sitcom, Asian people in a family sitcom, Black people in a family sitcom, that they were then like, oh, we have enough goodwill at this point that we can push it in the other direction and still come out at about a net zero.
Time to cash in with some white power. Use some white power, buy some white powder around the room. Let's do this. ABC, fuck yeah.
Dude, they even kind of reference it in the third episode, because there's a moment where Roseanne and John Goodman are asleep on the couch, and they wake up, and she's like, oh, we slept all the way from Wheel to Kimmel. And then he's like, oh, we missed that multicultural lineup of sitcoms. And she's like, they're just like us. There, I saved you 2 hours.
That's weird, because like the show you're watching that joke is on is also that fucking dumb.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It's like meta.
No, but she meant it racistly.
You know what else I like about this show? It's like in true 90s sitcom fashion, there's just one black person.
Do they explain the black kid?
I don't know.
Fucking do that. I love it.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Do they explain it in episode 3?
No.
We gotta watch this episode 3.
What a wonderful prop that black child was, though.
That kid's gonna grow up one day.
I have a list of things that I wrote down as noticeable things. First one, black kid, we're okay. Number 2, John Goodman definitely died in the original run.
Did he really?
Yeah, did you guys know that? In the end of the original run of Roseanne, John Goodman's character died.
How?
In the last season, there was a plot thing that was that John Goodman had an affair, and that he and Roseanne were living separately for the season. And then at the end of the season, the series finale was that it's revealed that all of the show was actually a book that Roseanne had written, and like she'd embellished some parts.
Oh, they referenced that on the show.
Yes, that's what that book is.
Okay,
yeah.
I see.
But then,
Damn,
that
dude.
John Goodman actually didn't have the affair. It was that he had died, and that was her way of like dealing with the loss, was to make him a monster.
Are you saying Dan's his name, right?
Dan.
Is a ghost?
I don't know.
That
they
would
did
rule.
nothing to explain it.
That's how he lost all that weight.
But that's why he says in the first episode, he says, why does everyone always think I'm dead?
Oh, is this going to be another book? Is this episode another book?
I don't know, dude. There's layers of onions being peeled back.
Is our podcast the show?
It's either extremely meta, like Snow Globe universe shit, or some rich people just decided they could shove a bunch of bullshit down our throats and we would take it.
Let me ask if this is on your list, and I bet it is, and I'm glad you're here for this. The classic trope of the sister cop who is a blatant Democrat and won't be stopped. You know, one of those Democrat cops.
Yeah, she has a shrine for her too.
Yeah.
Every other word she says, aside from "I'm glad I voted for Clinton," is just "welcome, thank you for your service." I miss the force.
Yeah, I like how poorly constructed that character is. Is she a
There's so
cop?
many like fucking ham-fisted homages where she's like, "Thank you for your service," and then like the Marine cousin or something.
He's like,
Son.
"I'm just here for dinner."
It's one of their sons.
Yeah.
is
He's
in the
just
military.
around. He has no other qualities besides just being a Marine.
He keeps
Yeah.
staring 1,000 yards away.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of enjoy the fact that they made just a fucking wacky, like, stupid Kramer character out of, like, a dorky neoliberal type, but, like, that should be happening from the left. That would be a funnier show, you know?
There is...
And that would be called Brosanne.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be Roseanne living with a bunch of Bernie bros.
Yeah.
How much of her the sister's conversation with the director do you think went like her being like, how did you think that take was, and the director being like, okay, louder and with your eyes wide open?
Yeah. Just completely portray herself as every frothing fucking nightmare that these Trump people have about, you know, liberals or whatever.
I'm a life coach,
Yeah, right.
and I'm mad at you.
She looks like a contestant on The Price is Right or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does seem to have like a strange amalgam of skills with the life coach and cop thing, and she's like doing political work. I've never met someone like that, and I've been waiting my whole life.
Well, but that was a hallmark of the show in its original run, was that like Roseanne had like 10 jobs over the course of the series. Mm-hmm. And I think her sister did too. I think they all kind of did. Was that like kind of part of the idea of it, is that like in portraying this like white working class family, like part of it is that like you don't have a defined career necessarily. It's like at the beginning she works at the factory, and then she walks out and gets fired, and then like she like works at a restaurant for a bit. She works at a fucking like hair salon for a while.
How would she have time for any sitcom-y stuff? Would she just be working all the fucking time?
Or writing a book.
Or writing a
Yeah,
book?
that's the real question, is when the fuck did she write that book?
You get real fat if you don't sleep. That's the rule.
She's a
What
Snorlax.
goes to shit.
Okay. Shush.
We could do an episode by episode breakdown.
I mean, I wrote down a ton of shit.
Jeremy,
Yeah, Jeremy's got more.
Lead us through what you got here. You seem like you've been up all night putting yarn
I
on
did it
cork
about an
boards and
hour
shit.
before.
You look as tired as Roseanne.
That's true. I'm running out of ends to burn this can.
Season 29 of Roseanne, she's running a podcast with a Patreon, trying to support her children.
This is the real most noticeable thing. If we want to do an episode rundown, we could do that. I'm not going to lead it because this is not my podcast.
Okay.
I will say the one really noticeable thing that I cannot stop thinking about, I rewound it and watched it so many times, was that scene when the older sister comes in and she's like, I'm going to be a surrogate. And everyone's like, no, you're not. And then like the Hillary sister is like, oh, she is. And they have their little argument. And then John Goodman is just like standing in the back of the room, and he just like throws something at the floor.
You want to know what I think about it, and then he just walks into the garage.
Yes. Is that seriously the best take they got of John Goodman throwing something on the floor?
There's also that part where he like. There's also. Dude, it's so poorly edited and shot. Like, there's that part where he misplaces his gun, and he's like, they're in the basement, and it's like in the Ben and Jerry's cup or whatever.
Yeah.
And her daughter comes down, and she like can't know he has a gun, and she like turns around and clearly sees John Goodman holding the gun.
Yes.
And Roseanne's like, "Hey, over here!"
Yeah, he doesn't seem to give a fuck at all. He's just like, I'm a giant. I can just lumber around in the background, and I'll mostly be in the frame. Just a
But
wall
the
of plaid.
show is like the logical end to I mean, this is like kind of a hacked like take, but like it's like the logical end to America where like Roseanne is back on in a subpar reboot. Donald Trump is president, and they're both essentially informally partnering to take down America by pushing pedogate conspiracy. It's insane.
Yeah, do you think that the plots will get like excessively more wacko Pizzagate-y
it's gonna
and
hone
shit?
in on Pizzagate until you personally blow up.
Because I would imagine that there is like some sort of balance of power between her as the star and then like a network that's like, you can't be that crazy. You have to be the character, not yourself.
There's gonna be a movie sitcom crossover with San Andreas, and The Rock is gonna save people. Yeah,
That'd fucking
That's
rule.
not out of the realm of possibility.
Does
There's
anybody
gonna be an earthquake, and The Rock's
know-
gonna save people.
This is taking kind of a step back, but the main reaction you see on social media to the Roseanne show is just pictures of her dressed as Hitler.
Yeah.
Why is she dressed as Hitler?
Okay.
She was baking things.
I remember when that
They were
happened.
Jews.
Baking up the truth about
The
Pizzagate.
gingerbread is supposed to be Jews.
Yeah,
right?
I remember when that
This is
came
really
out.
fucked up.
This is like a few years ago, and it was like
why?
a photo shoot she did that was just like edgy comedy shit where she's kind of dressed like Hitler. The joke is she's pulling these fucking Jewish gingerbread, figures, men, whatever the fuck they are, out of an oven, yada yada yada.
Gingerbread
Women,
men. Yeah.
children,
Yeah,
gingerbread watches. in a pile.
a big pile of gingerbread shoes. Yeah.
Gingerbread men.
So like a lot of people are kind of, I don't know. I mean, if we're, I kind of don't really get pulling this up and like showing it to people. I mean, if you're trying to just make a really blatant point of like, look, she's kind of an asshole. Like that's.
Well, when did she do it?
Here's the thing: she didn't do it like during Trump, I think, because she was like a Green Party person like a few years ago.
Yeah, but it also wasn't cool to dress as Hitler then.
Okay.
People didn't know about Hitler in 2012.
Here's
It's a
the
different time.
here's my problem. with,
Normalized the way he is now.
right. My problem with this though is that like, because I want to be a consistent person in what I'm arguing and shit, and I feel like if I came down really hard on this, as her being a comic, I'd be kind of being a hypocrite. Because like, I'm friends with like Cumtown and those people or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I get making a fucked up joke.
They all did the same photo shoot.
We all love jizz. I get it.
I mean, I wouldn't fault if her politics didn't suck. I wouldn't really fault her for making a Nazi joke. Like, they're
I'm excited to listen to
funny
Cumtown's
if you're
Roseanne
in.
episode, by the way. New character, Roseanne, but gay.
Well, that's like not the dangerous part of her politics. The dangerous part is where she's taking things that are actually fucking happening and framing it in a way where she's reinforcing crazy conspiracy theories. Like we all think Alex Jones is a monster for doing this, so we have to think Roseanne is also a monster for doing this. You have to like extend that logic.
Yeah.
Alex, you seem like you disagree.
Oh, no, I have, like, stuff in my eyes.
Oh, it's cum, everybody.
I have cum in my eyes. I'm sorry.
A whole town of it.
Well, the other thing I think is being ignored in the broader part of this conversation is that she's like clearly mentally ill.
Yeah.
And if you read these interviews with her and her publicist and management team, she'll be like, yeah, I was on a lot of psychoactive drugs like a few years ago, and I was having a bad experience with them, and I kind of acted out on the internet. I think she is like a recovering opiate addict.
Does
or
she have,
something.
like, bipolar?
I heard that she has dissociative identity disorder.
Whoa!
Probably. Like what? She had like someone was talking about her book. I was talking to someone about her book, and she has these like breaks in the book where she breaks out into other personalities and like plays characters.
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
And I think that probably factors in. Who knows? Maybe she was like an opiate, because like a lot of things she was like doing on the internet and lashing out at people like are symptomatic of like opiate withdrawal, and people were like very intense and aggressive for no reason, which also could be associated with that or borderline personality disorder.
New conspiracy theory. I think she is also Jill Stein.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a weird twist too.
Oh
in that
wait,
show.
yeah, they had a joke in the show. I forgot about that. Where they're like, I voted for Jill Stein. They're like, who's Jill Stein? They go, a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think
What's
you can
that
tell the
punchline
show's
about?
like written by liberal dorks because they're
Very
like,
a very prominent comedian, comedy writer online was like, the twist with her sister being a Jill Stein supporter out of desperation was brilliant. Like that's like one of the things that makes me.
Well,
fucking
these
roll my eyes.
writers are all like writing about they're writing from an angle of like this is about what happened and what caused Trump, right?
The
So
hero's journey.
us not being sympathetic enough to these white working class types, and also the liberal on the show. Oh, this is a metaphor for how many people went crazy and lost their minds and strayed from Hillary Clinton.
When the protagonist enters the abyss arc, I'm still a bougie piece of shit.
I just have one more thing to add to Roseanne's mental illness. Roseanne tweeted at 11:28 p.m. last night, "Reba is not a good colonel, not as good as I would be!" ! Hashtag Roseanne. Hold on.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
Those hearts going.
I do not believe that Reba eats fried chicken! Especially from the colonel! That's the whole thing. I don't know.
Who is Reba?
Reba McEntire
She's
is
the new Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, so you know how they keep
Yes.
Try to
recasting
keep
Colonel?
up, Jeremy.
Who is Reba McEntire?
Did you even see this season of Colonel Sanders?
Oh, you never watched Reba, dude?
No.
Reba McEntire is like a I think she might have done stand up at some point, but she's like a real like country, like sold to like country music channel people.
Okay.
Like female comedy actors. She had a sitcom called Reba. And they've recast Colonel Sanders in those Kentucky Fried
I've
Chicken
seen
ads
that.
like 10
they
times.
did like Jim Gaffigan and Norm Macdonald.
So she's Colonel Sanders right now. But what's weird about this
controversy.
What's weird about this
a
Roseanne
woman colonel? No, thank you.
Yeah. What's ruining my childhood. What's weird about this though is that like maybe that's from the show. I can't really tell because it was clearly in between her live tweeting, watching her own show, because there's like some straight up just jokes from the show.
Yeah.
Here's one. There's no books on how to raise kids. Hashtag Roseanne. Next one. Watch the tag, guys. I don't know what that means. Next one.
Hashtag Roseanne is great.
Yeah.
Get it trending.
I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna do hashtag Jeremy on all my tweets.
You should hashtag Roseanne on all your tweets.
Next one. All caps. Nude scene. Hashtag Roseanne. That's it. And then this fucking Reba thing, which leads me to think she's just like nodding off on psychoactive pills and shit, and like was live tweeting the commercial in between.
So do you think that it might be like a Brian Wilson sort of a scenario?
What was the scenario there?
Where she's becoming like detached and senile.
Yeah, and so then she has like a psychiatrist, like is it Paul Giamatti in that movie? The Brian Wilson movie where John Cusack plays
I
Brian
never actually
Wilson.
saw
and
it,
then,
but I
never seen it.
love
yeah,
Brian
I think it's
Wilson.
Paul Giamatti is his psychiatrist. The point is that the story is that like he was like kind of schizophrenic, and then he had this psychiatrist who like really took advantage of him and gave him like a ton of drugs until he was like completely zonked out, and then he just like lived off of them for a long time and like made all his money off of like royalties from Beach Boys shit and whatever.
and some touring when he went back to touring too.
Yeah.
Because like I saw Brian Wilson like 2 years ago. He played for like 35 minutes, and then in the middle of one of his songs, he just walked off stage.
Whoa.
And like didn't come back for like 10 minutes, and then did his encore and then finished.
Weird.
But he seemed so I mean, it was a fine concert, but he seemed so detached and out of it. And then,
So I think that's over now with like the doctor and all that.
Yeah.
But like the point is that he had this psychiatrist who was like controlling him and manipulating him, and so I'm wondering if like Roseanne maybe is like
She's a Manchurian
psychotic.
Roseanne.
Yeah, exactly. And she's got some like
Roseanne.
she's got some psychiatrist who's like a MAGA chud, and he's like, yes, Roseanne, go back to television.
Oh
like,
yeah,
pushing her out the
some
door.
psychotic doctor.
Secretly, she's trying to kill John Goodman.
Dude,
That's half of the director's job, is just keeping her from stabbing John Goodman.
given all the cliches, do you think they'll like double down and do like a incest Honey Boo Boo plotline?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, my theory on it is because it's like written by a bunch of fucking Hollywood liberal types that aren't really hip to like a lot of shit we're talking about. Is you probably like I'm waiting for them to write like Cletus the slack-jawed yokel, basically.
Yeah.
Just like you're a bunch of dumb fucking redneck idiots or whatever. But we put a heartwarming twist at the end where we're all still humans or whatever.
Episode 3.
You gotta see this third episode.
You gotta see it. No, so you know how in the first 2 episodes, the daughter's daughter is like barely a character?
Yeah.
How she's just kind of like walking around just like, I'm gonna go to school. And you're like, okay, I guess that's where she's going. In the third episode, she gets caught shoplifting, and the mom is like, "That's fucked up." But before that, the mom's like letting her walk all over her, and Roseanne's like, "You can't let her walk all over you." And then she like lashes out at Roseanne and is like, "You guys are a bunch of fucking dumb hillbillies, and I hate you. You suck."
Oh, nice.
No.
And then like the daughter is like, "Well, those dumb hillbillies will fucking get in their truck and they'll come and drag you out of whatever well you fall down. They care." You know?
Yeah.
It's literally
yeah.
exactly that. It's like these are a bunch of hicks, but also
Oh,
heart
wait.
of gold.
I saw a clip from that episode where she shoves her face in the sink.
Yep,
And she's
she
like, this is a
waterboards
hillbilly
her.
spa.
You know, she waterboards her, and she's like, "You see, Sean Hannity was right. This isn't torture."
I'm not sure if there's even like these political themes. Like I might be looking too hard. I think this is just a huge gumbo of like phrases and ideas from like the last election cycle that just go away.
The show was
Yeah.
actually modeled off Gumbo.
You haven't said anything for 10 minutes.
It's a down-home style dish that you can eat with your uncle who doesn't like the gays.
Now, you see, when you're making a sitcom, you want to get a dark roux going.
You want to get a woo going there.
I love
Cook it
how
till it's real brown.
the boy's supposed to be androgynous, but it doesn't really click the first time because all he's doing, he just has like hair.
Yeah.
And then he has a unicorn sweatshirt. I'm like, I would have worn that. Like,
Yeah.
that looks cool.
Yeah, unicorns are cool.
Dude, and
But
you
yeah.
know over the course of this season, that kid is going to get fucked up. You know, like they've already made it very clear. John Goodman's right. You know, like
He's going to be
Yeah.
sold
John Goodman
into
will
human
always be
trafficking.
right.
He's going to be a Pizzagate victim.
He's gonna
Yeah.
be taken, and then Roseanne will have to kill a bunch of Europeans to get him off his heroin sex campaign.
Get under the bed.
Dude,
They're going to take you.
the calculated insanity behind Roseanne though, like, can be in one tweet. I saw her arguing with some people, and they're like, she's pushing Pizzagate conspiracies, and then Roseanne chimes in. She goes, pedogate, not
Yeah.
Pizzagate.
I love that.
It's fucking amazing.
For someone that appears to have eaten a lot of pizza, you know?
She still hasn't gotten to the bottom of it. That's why she was eating so much pizza.
Yeah. She's trying to
I'll
solve the
save
mystery.
you. Oh.
If I eat them out of pizza, then they can't use the front anymore of being a pizza restaurant. Yeah.
It's fucked up how Trump congratulated her like that night too.
Did he call her?
Yeah.
What a weird thing for the president to do.
I must congratulate Roseanne. China's put tariffs on again.
Yeah.
We're going to be spending $10 for a peach. Let me call Roseanne.
Season 2 of Roseanne. We can't afford a computer, Dad.
Yeah, he fucking loves TV, man. Like, he just sits and watches TV. It's part of, like, this no platforming, whatever argument is like, yeah, maybe it's bullshit. Like, maybe this show won't affect that much because politics is not downstream from culture. But, like, the president watches TV.
Yeah.
Dude,
Honestly, it's never been a more direct form of democracy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it will. Like, just because there's going to be more, right-leaning, right-sympathetic bullshit coming from ABC in coming years. And some other networks who are trying to emulate Roseanne.
My theory on it kind of is that politics is not downstream from culture is a rule that applies to the left and not the right, because the left fucks itself up. The left has these ideas where they offer, like, representation and a fucking movie that's vaguely about some liberal ideas or whatever as a substitute for actual left change at all. And that's like the big trick, like, instead of actually doing anything, we're going to give you a superhero movie. But on the right, they just kind of use, like, culture as this weird fuel for a frothy rage they work themselves into, and then they go do all the shit. It's not like the thing where they pull the rug out from under
They're
you.
Fiverr-style doers. They go out there and they get racism done.
Oh yeah, racist Fiverr ads.
Why think about beating up the black guy next door when you could do it? Fiverr.
Get off 4chan. Deactivate your Twitter. Deactivate your Facebook. Go punch a Hispanic.
Yeah.
What do you think the season finale is going to be?
Ooh.
Anybody? I'm guessing similar to that Law and Order we watch, Antifa breaks into Roseanne's house and they take the trans kid to add to their commune.
Yeah, that's probably it.
And season 2 is John Goodman fighting to get him back.
Her daughter's gonna get addicted to like crocodile or something, and that Roseanne's gonna fucking meet Bernie Sanders and call him a fag or something.
The mysterious black kid gets really into spirit cooking. They have to have a sit-down heart-to-heart with their orphan child that lives with them, but then they learn something too.
Just trying to cook.
I think it's gonna end with like a deeply inappropriate for network television, like hardcore close-up of like a very violent. I don't know what like the PC term for like the face fuck is.
It's face fuck.
It's making love to a face.
Yes, of what could be like probably a body double, honestly, of Donald Trump to Roseanne.
Mouth sex work? Is that it?
Yeah. And she has like some snappy one-liner about like
No snappy one-liner. It just ends with that shot, and then it like slows down, turns black and white, and then the credits roll.
In Jeremy's defense, it is very hard to get in a snappy one-liner mid-face fuck.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. I guguess we should wrap this up.
Gotten all the way to face fucking.
Yeah, that's
I
where
was going to go in more on that, but
that's
Still
where
got
good,
time.
I don't know. If you got sexy kinks that are demonized, where does that fall on the political spectrum, you know? Like, where's the line on that? Like, face fucking.
I guess
it's violent.
It kind
so
of
it's
depends,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
Like John Wayne Gacy was into like slave sex and stuff,
Right.
But
and
he's
he
also
was a
into-
Democrat.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders, you're not even a Democrat, sir.
If you take away anything
Like
from
John
this
Wayne
episode,
Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy was a Democrat.
That photo with Rosalind Carter is so fucking funny to me. Have you seen that?
No.
There's so like John Wayne Gacy was this huge Democratic organizer before he got caught.
Are you
And so-
serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
He-
funny.
Fuck.
Yeah, in Illinois and stuff. He was like super successful and popular. He raised a lot of funds.
I'm surprised the Republicans aren't still talking about it.
But that's like every now and then, like someone will bring up like the Democrats of the 70s and 80s, and then someone will post that photo of Rosalind Carter standing with John Wayne Gacy at a fundraiser. It's so funny.
Is he in clown makeup too?
I wish.
He's holding a dead kid. It's awful.
That's probably why Archie Bunker was so mad back then. You know? Edith, these Democrats. They drill a hole in your head. Try to turn you into a sex zombie.
Oh, we did. These Democrats, they're always dressing up as clowns, fucking little boys and murdering them. Oh, Archie, it's not all Democrats.
Yeah. Oh.
Stifle it.
Oh, God. How's the song go? Like, the clown was running dominoes.
Is that Wesley Willis?
I was trying to remember how that fucking song goes from All in the Family, where they sit around the piano. And they're like, those were the days. That's all I got.
I believe the song is. Okay, here's one that really land.
Well, that's as good a place as any to wrap up these this meditation on the white working class we've gathered here
Yeah,
to
bros.
We
spoon
did it.
feed you idiots in front of your TV boxes. You know, so you'll get smarter and not make the exact same mistakes in the next election cycle.
Turn on some smart stuff like Bill Maher.
I don't know, just like
The
final
Lizard King.
Jerry Springer final thoughts on this. I kind of think like the arguments that are going around about it are kind of moot. Like, you know, everybody was like kind of arguing about it online. I got into that thing with fucking Funches and all those people about it, and you know, I don't think it really matters that this is happening, and it's just going to keep happening and whatever. TV's fucking dumb. You know, it's just selling shit to the lowest common denominator or whatever. But the argument a lot of people were putting forth was like, oh, wow, you know, you guys, you get so mad, you know, when this happens on the other side, but you know, now you want to censor this TV show and, like, you think it should be taken down. I was kind of joking about, quote-unquote, no platforming Roseanne. You're allowed to have an opinion about the TV show. I just think it sucks, you know? Isn't that what TV shows are for?
Bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad show.
She could have been a complete, like, amazing leftist. Like, everything she said I could have agreed with, and I still would have been like, this show kind of blows.
Well, also, like, the fact that she got a show, I think that sucks. And that's just that's the whole statement. I'm not like, you know, she should be whatever. I mean, I kind of think she should be. But, like, that's
Think
not
of all
even
the
what's going
trans
on.
comedians that could get that show.
I will watch when Roseanne isn't a
Time slot.
narco-primitivist and not one day before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. The
Third
town
world
should-
Maoist Roseanne.
I kind of had this same thing that happened when I watched The Last Jedi, and I thought it sucked. And, like, I just went, like, I thought that was a bad movie. And all these people online were like, you're just an angry basement bro. You wanted, you know, there to be less women in the movie and shit. I just, like, thought it. I watched a movie and I got out, and then I told somebody I was with, like, that's what movies are for, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to consume them and then
I-
go, that was good or bad, you know?
Yeah,
it's like,
I thought the Ghostbusters reboot was real bad.
Yeah, it
And
kinda
then, like,
sucked,
It
but-
was real bad, and then like I was talking to somebody and someone who was like really psyched about it. I'm like, yeah, but this was like a huge plot hole at the end. And she's like, yeah, but how's that different from other movies? I'm like, yeah, but those other movies suck too. Like
Yeah.
this can all like I don't understand how that's an argument.
It's like
Yeah.
I after Black Panther. I left Black Panther. I'm like, aesthetically it was cool, but it's still a dumb action movie.
yeah, you
know?
take those words back, colonizer.
I didn't realize this was Privilege Hour. Jeremy Privilege Steve.
Oh, this is outrageous. This is outrageous.
I have not seen Black Panthers.
I haven't seen it either.
That's way worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen any of those movies you were, like, supposed to see. I'm going to get them all knocked out in one day, get my social justice cred back up or whatever.
That sounds like a fun day.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
I've always had this
Social
idea.
Justice Day.
Social Justice Day where I watch 8 movies.
I just watched
Do it on
Moonlight
Martin.
5 times.
Do it on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah. Just watch Black Panther and Wonder Woman and Coco and shit. Yeah, I don't know. I guess my whole button on the end of that is just like what is it? What happened? Like, what does it even mean to watch a movie anymore? We're in this very postmodern state where, like, every single thing you consume is, like, you're just in the most hyperbolic way, either really, really good or bad for either liking it or not, you know? It just sucks. It's fucking, it's lame that they gave a show to a MAGA chud, and, like, if enough people were like, hey, fuck you, then maybe that wouldn't happen, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's not that hard to be like, fuck this person and this show.
Yeah, I'm not. It's like you can't boycott it. Millions of people are going to watch
Yeah.
it. I don't
And
care
I don't
that
really
much.
judge anyone for watching it. Like I blame I'm more mad at like ABC for fucking doing it because they
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Right. I'm more mad at Jeremy than you two for watching a third episode.
Yeah, you were third
How many
helpings.
did you
of-
watch, Alex?
I watched 2, but I really didn't want to watch the second one.
I think I'm gonna keep watching it. I want to know what the fuck
No.
happens.
This is a Roseanne podcast
Yeah,
now.
dude.
bring it up
Brosannes.
every fucking week.
This is just like in episode 6 where the neighbor turns out to be gay.
All right.
Yeah, fuck it. Anybody plugs,
Got a
final
blog.
thoughts,
When's
anything?
this coming out?
Tomorrow.
I got a couple. I'm at Friends of Lovers tomorrow. Excited about that show at 8 p.m. And then another show next Saturday on the 14th, if you're listening, at Bluebird, Brooklyn, 8 p.m.
Cool.
Check out my podcast with Alex Patak. It's called Ballin' Out Super. We watch Dragon Ball Super.
It's weird that it isn't that podcast right now, honestly.
Right? Yeah, it feels weird. I'm sure some of you are listening. Hi, guys. Also, check out my show, 2 Minutes to Late Night.
Yeah, come see my weekly show on Sundays at 7. It is at Sing Sing on Ave A. It's called Bad News. It's a comedy show. We've
Fun
had
show.
Jeremy and Raghav, and maybe soon, Jake.
Whoa. Super.
I mean, he's not booked yet, but it's conceivably possible.
I'll take it. I'll do it. It's on tape now. You can't stop me. Okay. Well, this Friday, I'm on the Hard Times live at Tender Trap.
Yeah.
With old J-Bone over here.
That's right. Yeah, both of you guys.
Oh, yeah, we're all on
Tomorrow.
that shit.
See you guys tomorrow.
I don't think it's physically possible
Not you,
for this to
Raghav.
come out and you listen to the whole thing
Yeah,
and
fuck
show
me.
up on time for that show, but yes.
Oh, yeah, that is tomorrow. Well, that
Yes.
snuck up on me. I think I got a couple other things in town. Whatever, I'll post them online. But my main thing is I would like to announce I'm going on tour with Mishka Shubali. We're going from Detroit through, I think we're going from West Virginia, Detroit, Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin, all the way down to Denver. And then I might be going further from there. Haven't really booked it all out yet.
We're
We're
going
doing
on tour with a Russian bot.
Yes, my compro Matt Mishka Shubali. No, he's a alcoholic guitarist that I know who didn't influence anything.
He's actually... he was under the influence the whole election. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
folks?
Death of Stalin ruled, by the way.
He drinks. Death Stalin rule.
Yeah,
Good movie.
Go see that instead of Roseanne.
Mishka, if you don't know him, I'm a big fan of his. He's an ex-drunk. I met him when he was opening for Stanhope way back in the day, and he was currently drunk, and then he kind of famously got sober and wrote a bunch of books about it and shit. And
Gross.
Like Roseanne.
and still hangs out with dirtbags and stuff and goes on tour with them and shit. But he's really cool if you like sad bastard singer-songwriter shit. He fucking rules. So we'll be doing a bunch of shows where he plays music and sometimes he does jokes. And I'll be doing jokes. We'll be doing house shows and all this bullshit. And come out. I'll hang out. I'll pin a tweet with all the dates once they're all hammered out. All right. Face fucking.
Super.
Beep, 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 beep.